Hey everybody, welcome to Active Church. Whether you're watching at home or you're watching in your car, you're watching on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're glad you are here today, and maybe you're with us in the room right now. We're so stoked you're with us. Make sure you hop over to the cafe, grab a coffee, check out that new cafe area.
It's so cool.
We're glad you're watching. My name is Joe, and this is my wife joining us for the first time on the pre-show today.
Mm-hmm. I'm Diana, Joe's wife.
Yes. My wife,
Hi.
Diana. I'm so glad you're here, Deanne. And how's it feel? You're on the pre-show with me for the very first time.
It feels pretty cool. I feel like fancy.
Like you're a podcaster
yeah.
now, right?
Like I'm an important podcaster. Yeah, I love it.
You nervous at all?
No, not at all. Why would I be nervous?
I don't know, because you told me you were nervous about 5 minutes ago.
No, I did not. No, I didn't.
It's going to be fun today. Hey, my wife is on because we're going to be having a brand new series that we're starting today. So if you're in the room with us, it's going to be fantastic. Pastor Mike is going to be up in just a moment. But if you're online, you're going to be hearing the same thing. New series called Love, Dates, and Heartbreaks. Heartbreaks.
So good, yeah.
Heartbreaks. I had so many people message me this week saying that I don't know if I'm ready for this message.
It's going to be good.
And it's not that this message is going to like destroy us, but relationships make us feel things.
Yeah, a lot of feelings that some of us don't want to feel.
And we don't want to think about. Hey, I'm seeing you, brother. I love you. My brother is here today. And he was one of the first people like, wow, this is about to get real.
Yeah.
And yes, it is. So whether you're single, you're dating, you're thinking about dating, you're in a relationship, whether you're coupling, you're trying to figure out your relationship, hashtag it's complicated. This series is going to be for you. Pastor Mike has something incredible for us today. I cannot wait. Yeah. But maybe it's your first time watching with us today. You want to tell them what to do?
Yeah, if it's your first time watching with us, let us know that it's your first time by just commenting and saying, hey, I'm new. We would love to send you a free gift.
Yes, or you can even just text welcome to the number on the screen, and we'd send you an Amazon gift card this week. What about if they're in the room?
If they're in the room, you can visit Guest Central. We have them in the lobby and outside. You could also text.
You're probably going to be there, huh?
Yes, I'm probably going to be there, most likely. We have an amazing Guest Central team. So
yes, we do.
Make sure you stop by, say hello. They'd love to get you hooked up with a free Amazon gift card. Now, I don't know what's better, what two words are better than free and Amazon.
I know,
that's
rough.
You have me at both, so you don't want to miss out on this.
As we're talking about our brand new series, Love, Dates, and Heartbreaks, Pastor Mike's his heart is to help us have holy and healthy relationships. And maybe relationships have been in a complicated term for you. Maybe it's a difficult season or difficult even story to tell that's attached to your relationships. Or maybe right now you just want a relationship, or you've been thinking about a relationship. Or maybe like I was, and maybe even you were, I was done with dating at some point. We've been there. We've all been there. Relationships are hard. We want to help, and hopefully, and I know, I say hopefully, but I know that this series is going to be so helpful for so many of us as we walk through these waters together. Today, he's going to be talking about 2 myths that we often hold about relationships that give us a lens in which to understand our relationship. So maybe we need to break these myths today. Have you had any myths shattered? I mean, we've been married now for 9 months.
No, 10 months.
10 months now. That's
it'll be
outrageous.
a year in June, so we're almost there.
But 3 years dating. We've been 3
3
years since we started dating. What's the biggest relationship myth that has been shattered for you?
Well, I think one of them for me would be that once you find that perfect person, everything's going to be perfect, and you're just going to want to do the whole relationship thing just alone.
That's good.
But what we found out, and one of the most important things, and we tell people this all the time, that are, especially that are dating, is don't do it alone, because you're never going to find that perfect person. Things aren't always going to be perfect. Don't do it alone. Get around mentors that are going to pour into your relationship.
That's so good.
Ask you hard questions. Keep you accountable, and just be there for you in the best times and in the worst times.
Because this was this is an amazing relationship. It was an amazing dating relationship. But what we realized really early on is that we didn't want to do it alone because we couldn't. I mean, I never learned how to be a husband properly, right? And even dating, we wanted to get ready for marriage. And I think that's the thing for me. It's like, oftentimes we think the marriage fixes things, but it doesn't. And so we learned by having people around us. But I love that myth. And that really was shattered in our life.
And we had the best mentors.
Yes,
so
shout out to you.
Get around some mentors that is just going to pour into your life.
So there's going to be 2 myths today that Pastor Mike is going to be sharing about and shattering in our minds. But before we jump into that, we have some church news for you, some things that are going to help you tell a better story. 1 first up, you want to share with them?
Yeah, can we get a drum roll here? It's Kids Blitz.
Yeah.
Okay, if you don't know what Kids Blitz is.
I love Kids Blitz.
And if you're a parent or you know some parents, don't let them miss out. It is an amazing, high energy event. 3 days of nonstop fun.
Yes.
It is going to be June 15th through the 17th. You guys don't want to miss this.
And it's in person.
It's in person. We're so excited. 3 days jam-packed with fun worship and music, singing, dancing, crafts, even snacks.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
Friend building, right?
Friend building. Your children are going to be able to see their friends in person and even build some new friendships. It's going to be amazing.
And we know your kids are craving that.
Yeah.
We know so many kids in our life who've just been wanting to see their friends. They're going to do it in a fun, safe, and engaging environment. And so if you're interested in signing up your little one, what are the ages for that again?
It's kindergarten through 5th grade.
So if your child is in kindergarten to 5th grade or going into kindergarten to 5th grade, sign them up today. And it's absolutely free.
Did we mention it's free?
Absolutely free.
Don't
want
to miss out on this.
Because kids are so important and we want to celebrate them and we want to have some fun this summer. Come hang out with us. You can sign up. The link is in the description for your sign up today. Absolutely free. Come hang out with us. And if they have a friend, we'll put them in the same group too.
Yeah. So tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your cousins, tell everybody.
Yeah.
Look, take it. You have 3 days off on us
Yeah.
for 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours. Take it. We will take care of your kids. And if you're a volunteer and you want to volunteer, the link, you can actually click on the link as well.
Same link.
Same link and register. It's going to be amazing, guys.
Yes. And secondly, we have First Step coming up in 2 weeks, April 25th. First Step is your chance to get connected to the active church community. Whether you're new, you've never been to First Step before, or you're just trying to figure out God and this whole faith thing, this is your first step towards moving towards the better story that God has for your life. Come hang out with us. Diana and I are going to be there. We're going to be doing it in person at 10:15 here at our Yucaipa location. So we'd love to see you. It's going to be a quick 15-20 minutes. Pastor Mike is going to share about his heart and his hope for the church and where we're going together, and you'll get a chance to know the staff, and the staff will get a chance to know you. We know that sometimes in a big church, or even when you're doing church online, it can be really hard to connect. We don't want you to do church and life alone. So First Step is really your first chance to get connected to us here at Active Church as we move forward to the story that God has for us.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So make sure you mark your calendars and that you're there. We'd love to see you guys there.
Yeah. And finally, one more thing. Active young adults. Young adults, if you're 18 to 25 or you consider yourself a young adult, we are launching our Active Young Adult Ministry. And that's going to be starting really soon. But first, we're starting with an interest night. And so if you're in that age category and you're interested in young adults, or if you know people who are young adults who want to get connected to something here at the church, we're going to be hosting an interest night coming up on April 29th. So at the end of April, we're going to be giving out more information about that as we move forward. But if you're interested, let us know now by messaging us on Facebook or Instagram, and we'll be giving you those details on when we're going to meet, what we're going to be talking about, and how we're going to be launching this thing this coming summer.
We're really excited about this. You don't want to miss this. I mean, we might be there. Do we fall in that 18 to 25 category?
I mean,
Absolutely.
we don't, but we love you.
I
we'll
do.
support you. yeah, you do.
Yeah, I'm like 22, so it's fine.
I can't wait for this series. It's going to be great for us. Hey, get in the room right now. If you're with us today on campus, grab your coffee, refill that. We cannot wait to hang with you. And if you want to stop by Guest Central right now, it's the perfect time to do so. But if you're online, watching at home, let's all stand to our feet together in the room, online, and let's sing together this morning.
the sounds, just one name over all. Jesus reigns. I know. Nations bow, mountains shake at the sounds, just one name over all. Jesus reigns. I know. There is a King of glory. There is a God who saves. One who is strong and mighty. Freedom is in his name. Open the gates of heaven. Lift up a shout of praise. There is a lion roaring. Jesus, the King of glory. There is a lion roaring. Jesus, the King of glory.
Hey, if there was one decision that you could make that could help begin to move your relationship in a healthy and holy direction, how quickly would you make that decision? I think all of us would make it as fast as is humanly possible, right? Because here's the truth, relationships are complicated and you want to get it right, don't you? And we want to help at Active Church. And that's why we're launching this brand new conversation today called Love, Dates, and Heartbreaks. And this conversation is for everybody. It's for students, it's for single people, it's for adults, it's for teenagers, it's for those that are in relationship, that are dating, they're engaged, they're coupling, they're sharing a house, sharing a family, sharing kids, or maybe you're married and you just got married, or you've been married for a very long time, or somewhere in between. Here's the reality. No matter the season of life that you're in, and no matter your age, relationships are complicated, aren't they? And what I love about this conversation and what I'm excited about is that it gives me an opportunity to talk about what breaks my heart, because I want people to experience healthy, holy, and godly relationships. And what breaks my heart is when people I love and I'm learning to love make relationship decisions that undermine the relationship that they're in. When they complicate what is already complicated, right? Like maybe you've had somebody in your life that's in a relationship and you saw what they were doing and you wanted to ask them, or maybe you did ask them, hey, have you thought that through? That relationship decision? Have you thought that through? Have you seen that relationship choice work for anybody else? Hey, have you ever had somebody warn you about that relationship decision? I think maybe we have somebody in our life, or maybe we are the somebody in our life that needs to be asked those questions. And that's why this conversation is so important, because we want healthy and holy and godly relationships. There's a few people I'm excited to speak to in this series today and over the next few weeks. The first group of people are the one day, someday group of people. The people that are in relationship and they say things like, hey, one day we'll go to counseling and we'll work this through. Or someday we'll figure this out. But they keep kicking the can down the road. And they talk about how difficult it is and how complicated it is. And yet they always push the solution to the next day. And here's the thing. It's your life and it's your relationship life. But the thing that breaks my heart is watching life pass you by, because you're kicking the can down the road and you're saying, I don't want to deal with this. The truth is that you're hurting and they're hurting and you're hurting each other. And what happens when you're hurting is you begin to tell a story that you never intended to tell. And then that becomes a part of your story that you want to avoid. And the thing is, I want you to be able to tell your entire story. I don't want you to have to be a liar for life. I don't want you to have to avoid parts of your story that are filled with embarrassment or filled with shame. I want you to be able to choose your whole story, to tell your whole story. And that doesn't mean you're not going to have moments of pain. And it doesn't mean you're not going to have moments where there's issues and struggles. But when you tell your whole story, it means that you've decided to engage the God who writes better stories in the person and work of Jesus. And it means in your story, your better story, you'll have a moment where you say, man, it was painful. Man, we were hurting each other. But then God. And that's what I long for you. I want a but then God story for you and for your relationship. I have a big hope for you, for us. I want you, no matter what relationship you're in, I want you to not be somebody's regret. I want somebody, if the dating relationship didn't work out, I want somebody to speak about you and say, we had a great time together, but it didn't work out. Instead of saying, I have a great shame or a great regret because of the relationship I was in previously. And friend, I don't want you to be a hypocrite. And here's what I mean by that. If they were to do to your brother or your sister or to the one that you love what you're doing to their brother or sister or the one that you say that you love, then you would want to do something to them, right? Isn't it true that we often have different expectations for ourselves than we have for the people around us? And I don't want you to be a hypocrite. I don't want you to say one thing and do another. I'm looking forward to talking to the ladies in this series. Because ladies, here's the thing. You are not a product. You're not a commodity. You're not to be bought and sold, to be thrown to the side, to be used and abused. And I'm sorry that our culture has decided that that's how we're going to view you. And I can't wait to talk to the guys and tell the guys, listen, I need you to begin to make decisions that lead to self-control, because self-control is powerful. And being a gentleman is powerful. And choosing kindness is powerful. I really believe that this series, Love, Dates, and Heartbreaks, will be helpful and beneficial to all of us. It'll help you to think differently about yourself and about your future. So let's dive in, all right? If you have a Bible with you or the Bible app near you, would you turn to the letter that John writes in the New Testament, John chapter 15, and we'll start in verse 1. And if you're watching this, the verses will be on the screen for you. And as you're turning there, I want to introduce two things that can get in the way of what we're about to read. See, what we're about to read is something that Jesus shared with those first disciples. And what he shared is powerful. He gives us one decision that can actually move us in the direction of health and wholeness and holiness and godliness. It's the one decision that can actually help us take that first step. But in order to do that, we have to actually identify what's inside of us, the things that we believe that are actually not true about us and about each other. So as you're turning to John 15, let me give you those two things, those two assumptions that drive our thinking, those two myths that influence our relationship status and our relationships with each other, all right? The first myth is this, the right person myth. See, we have this conviction. It's not true, but we have this conviction that if I find the right person, then everything will be right. Regardless of what we do before we meet each other, once we meet each other, everything is going to be right, and then all of the past disappears. But here's the problem. When someone goes wrong in a relationship, what we do is we believe that maybe we didn't find the right person. We found the wrong person, and then our choice becomes, well, then we have to find the next right person. Are you with me? And the assumption is that if I find the right person, everything will be right, including me. Like they will fix me as well. Even though I'm a mess, and even though I haven't taken steps to find health and find wholeness and find holiness and find godliness, if I find the right person, then I'll be okay. Now, as I say it out loud, and as you hear it, doesn't it sound ridiculous? Because it is. But this actually fuels our way of thinking. It's the first myth that we have to put aside. So in your own heart, in your own mind, begin to work on putting aside the right person myth so that you can hear the words of Jesus. The second myth is this, the promise myth. See, we are convinced, it's not true, but we are convinced that a promise replaces the need for preparation. Like if I just commit, if I just promise, if I just vow, then that means my relationship will be successful. And we see that everywhere we look. We hear that everywhere we turn our attention. Like you hear it in music. There's a really popular song right now called Driver's License by Olivia Rodrigo. And in that song, she has this line where she says, "You said forever. Now I drive alone past your street." Because what she's saying is the person that she was in relationship with promised that they were going to be together forever. And guess what? That promise wasn't enough and they weren't together. And it ended because a promise can never replace, can never substitute preparation. Just because you can say I do doesn't mean that you can actually do it. Just because you say I do doesn't mean that you can actually do it. Are you with me? And I think often we believe that if I just say I do, if I just promise, if I just vow, then everything is going to be okay. But saying I do, it actually makes you accountable. And here's the thing I don't want you to miss. When you're accountable, but not capable, then you're miserable. Are you with me? When you're accountable, but you're not capable of fulfilling what you're accountable to and who you're accountable to, then you're going to be miserable. Which is why a promise is not going to allow you, it's not going to give you a relationship that's going to be effective or successful. You have to prepare, and that's why this conversation is so important. I want you to start preparing, and I want you to start building, and this is where the message of Jesus should come alive for us. Because the message of Jesus makes all the difference for us. Jesus will make you better in life, and Jesus will make you better at life. And what Jesus invites you to do is not look for the person that you're trying to date, you're trying to marry, not look for the person, but actually become that person that someone's looking for. Like, here's a question, and then we'll dive into the words of Jesus. I want you to wrestle with these two questions. Are you someone worth looking for? And are you someone worth staying for? Like you're looking to date, are you someone that someone would be looking for? And if you're in a relationship, you're married, are you someone worth staying for? Friends, you can be. You can be someone worth looking for and staying for if you take the words of Jesus very seriously and begin to move in his direction. And towards the end of his ministry, he shared something so clear and so powerful that will change all of your relationships if you decide to do this one thing. You ready? John chapter 15, starting in verse 1, Jesus is sharing this with his first disciples, and he's sharing it with us. And John writes these words that Jesus shares. I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch that bears no fruit. Every branch that bears fruit, he prunes so that it will be even more fruitful. So Jesus is painting this beautiful picture of our life with the Father in heaven and our life with each other. And he says that your life and my life bears fruit. The idea is this, that with every decision that you make, there's an outcome. And the outcome of that decision is the fruit of your life. It's a reflection on if you're healthy and holy or if you're hurting and if you're harming one another. And these outcomes determine the story that you're telling. And here's the thing about my life. I want to tell a better relationship story, and I'm believing that you do as well. Which is why Jesus says, here's what you can do to step into a better relationship story. You make one decision that can start moving you in that direction. Doesn't solve all your problems, but it starts to move your attention and your heart and everything about you in the direction that it needs to go. And here's what Jesus says. Here's the decision that you and I can make. Verse 4. Remain in me. Remain in me. The idea is this. Stay close to me. Stay close to Jesus. Draw close to Jesus. Be with Jesus. Here's the thing you need to know about God. God is always close. God never moves, God never runs, God never turns his back on you, he never turns his attention away from you. God is always close. And you and I get to make a decision on how close we want to be to God, because it is our choice and God has given us that choice. But the point that Jesus is making here is that I want you to be close, because when you are close, you are being influenced and shaped by Jesus, because isn't it true that you and I become the people that we are around? The writer of Proverbs talks about that. The writer of Proverbs, his name was Solomon. He said, if you walk with the wise, you'll become wise. But a companion of fools will suffer harm. Like you will become like those that you are around. If they're joyful, you'll be joyful. If they're negative, you'll be negative. If they're extroverts, you might have moments where you're extroverted. If they're introverts, you might be a little bit more quiet. But you will become like those that are around you. They have great influence, as do you. And Jesus is saying, you will become like me if you're around me. And so the question that I want you to wrestle with is, who do you want to be around? Do you want to be around people with great life and great joy and great love, who have healthy and holy and godly relationships? Do you want to be around people like that? I know I do. The people I love being around are incredible people. Like, I love being around my wife. My wife challenges me. My wife pushes on me. My wife helps me to be courageous. My wife has taught me how to love well. My wife is hilarious. My wife and I get along really well. We are best friends, not because I'm supposed to say that, but because that's the truth. I love being around my wife. I love being around my younger brother, John. John is hilarious. John is sarcastic, but John is also very peace-filling. John is also very wise, and he's super compassionate, and I love being around John. And I love being around my best friend, Neil. And here's the thing, Neil and I haven't seen each other for over 15 years, but we talk and we text, and when we talk and we text, it's like we've seen each other just yesterday. He is somebody that I love being around. He loves baseball like I love baseball. He loves his family like I love my family. He loves the Lord like I love the Lord. And there's this camaraderie. There's this affinity that we have. And I love talking with Neil because he has joy. He has great passion. He is somebody that loves to live life. I love being around Neil. Who do you love being around? That's what Jesus wants us to wrestle with. And then he invites us to remain, to draw close, to stay with him, to be around him. And here's why. He says, if you remain in me, I will remain in you. Meaning that you will become more like Jesus. And for any Christian, that's really the desires of our hearts. To be more like Christ, to walk in his ways, to speak like him, to live like him, to help people, to find and follow Jesus, to find faith and to find hope. And then he gets really honest with us. He says in verse 4, neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. I am the vine, you are the branches, and if you remain in me and I remain in you, you will bear much fruit. The idea here is if you want to be better, if you want to become something new, if you want to tell a better story, all of that is found in Jesus and in Jesus alone. And then here's where he just gets right down to the real raw idea and emotions and thoughts of our relationships with each other and with him. He says, apart from me, you can do nothing. Apart from me, you can do nothing. Maybe that's why our relationships are complicated. Maybe it's because we have not remained, drawn close, stood near, chose to be with Jesus. We've decided to be around other things and prioritize other ways. Maybe that's why our relationships are complicated. Like the question that you and I need to wrestle with as Jesus is confronting us with this is this. So who are we around? And it doesn't mean that we judge them and blame them. That's not the point that Jesus is making. It's not their fault. This is a you problem. And what Jesus wants you to evaluate is how close are you to him? How much time are you spending around him and with him? Because you will become like whoever you are around. What are you prioritizing, your way or his way. And then he, again, paints this really beautiful picture to help us understand what he's talking about, putting an exclamation point on this conversation. He says this, "As the Father in heaven has loved me, so I have loved you. Now remain in my love." Here's why you should remain. So that you know you're loved, because we all question if we're loved. So that you would know that you're loved unconditionally. It's not because you've done something, it's because he's done something for you. And so that you would know that you're loved completely. Like God is not ashamed of you. Like he doesn't love 95% of you, but he hates part of you. The 5% that just disgusts him, he's not going to be around. That's not how God works. He is all in your story. And he says, I want you to know that you're loved and remain in my love. And then he says, when you remain in my love, here's what happens. You obey my commands. If you obey my commands, you will remain in my love. And so maybe you're wrestling with like, wait a second. So what do we earn the love or do we get the love and then we respond to it? And that's what Jesus wants you to hear. This isn't about earning his love. This is about responding in love to others. And he really helps shape what this looks like. And he shocks those first disciples with these words. He says, my command, because he said, if you obey my commands, you'll be in my love. My command is this, to love each other. And this isn't a let's just all get along and be nice kind of love. He gets specific. He says, as I have loved you, love one another. Now, these first disciples maybe didn't fully get it. This was right before the cross and the resurrection. Didn't fully get what he meant until they saw the cross and went through the resurrection. But you and I, we're on the other side of that. We're a week after Easter. We have experienced the cross and the resurrection. We've seen it. We've read the story. We celebrated it last week. We have full understanding of what he means when he says, love as I have loved you. You must love one another. In other words, you must do unto others as God has done unto you. Jesus talks about how this is what it means to remain in him. That his love changes you, transforms you, and challenges you, and it overflows from you because it can't be contained by you. St. Augustine once said, love and do what thou wilt. His point, and the point that Jesus is making, is that when your behavior is filtered through God's love for you, you start to become someone that God created you to be. And in the context of our conversation today, you start to become someone worth looking for. You start to become someone worth staying for. And this is why Jesus says, and it begins with your decision to remain, to stay close, to draw near, so that you know you're loved and so that you can actually love one another. You can love the one that you're in a relationship with or long to be in a relationship with. And it won't be the kind of love that just is defined by you. It will be shaped by the life and the death and the resurrection of Jesus. It's others first kind of love. And Jesus says, when you are close to me, you understand that I'm gentle and I'm humble in heart, and you'll find rest for your souls. Can you imagine what would happen with two people in relationship if they embraced this idea of drawing close to Jesus as first priority, as the number one thing that they'll do? Staying close. This is life-changing and it's life-giving. Friend, this is how you start to become the person worth looking for, by choosing to stay close. This is how you become the person worth staying for, by choosing to stay close. This is how you become the person who is preparing to commit, by choosing to remain. This is how you become the person who's preparing to stay committed, by choosing to draw near to Jesus. Because when you do that, you and the one that you're in a relationship with, you begin to move in the same direction. You are becoming someone in the same direction, and that direction is the way of Jesus. Friend, this is why it's dangerous to be a fan of Jesus. When you're a fan of Jesus, then all you're doing is picking and choosing the things that you like in your life, the things that he said and the things that he did. It's like being a fan of a baseball team or a football team or a sports team, right? Like when I talk about the Angels baseball team, I use the phrase, we are doing well, or we are winning games, or we are scoring runs. The truth is I haven't ever played a game for the Angels, but I use the phrase we because I identify with the team. I'm a fan. I sit in the stands, and when they do well, I cheer, and when they don't do well, I boo. I'm with them, but the truth is I am not actually a part of them. I'm just a fan who's celebrating, and I take all of the things that I want to take, and I leave all the things I want to leave. This is what a lot of us do with the story of Jesus, with the work of Jesus, with the person of Jesus. We're fans. We celebrate. Yay, Jesus. Easter was great. Yay, Jesus. Thank you for forgiveness. And we only take pieces of the story of Jesus and allow it to change us. And when Jesus is that for us, when we are fans of Jesus, he is just our life coach. But the difference between being a fan and a follower is significant. Because when we choose to follow Jesus, because that's what he invited us to do, then Jesus isn't our life coach. Jesus is our Lord. And we submit and we surrender and we obey and we trust and we commit to Jesus. And the work that he has promised to do in us, the work that he has shown he can do because he died and resurrected. I want to invite you to not be a fan of Jesus, but to follow Jesus. And that's the choice of what it means to remain, to draw close, to be near. This is the kind of person Jesus wants you to be, to follow him. Because when you choose to follow him, you will become the person that you're ultimately looking for. Because they're looking for that. You become the person worth staying for because you're wanting someone to stay with you and you're wanting to stay with them. You're wanting healthy, holy, godly relationships. Man, if there was one decision that we could make that could begin to move us, our relationships, in a healthy and holy direction, how quickly would we make that decision? Jesus says that decision is to remain, choosing to stay close. And I want to invite you, as we kick off this series, to do that, to turn your attention, your heart, your mind to the person and work of Jesus, to the way of Jesus by drawing close. And I want to help you this week by giving you 3 things to do. The first thing that I want to invite you to do is to stay close. And choosing to stay close means that I want to invite you to read from the letter of Colossians in the Bible. Specifically, Colossians chapter 3. Because next week, next Sunday at Active, we're actually going to walk through Colossians chapter 3. And we're going to talk about what it specifically looks like to become the person worth looking for, to become the person worth staying for. What it looks like in everyday, ordinary action. That it's not ambiguous, that it's not 80,000 feet. It's not just choosing to remain. We're going to actually talk about what it means tangibly to remain and to draw close. So read up, and then we'll meet you right back here next week. The second thing I want to invite you to do is remain. First, stay close, read Colossians 3. Second, remain. And what I mean by that is I want to invite you to pray for the one that you're in a relationship with, your boyfriend or girlfriend or your fiance or your husband or your wife. I want to invite you to pray for them, but specifically, I want to invite you to pray with them. And I know that might be weird and awkward and new and strange for you, but this is an opportunity to draw close to God and draw close to them. I want to invite you to pray with them. Ask them to pray with you. And then the third thing I want to invite you to do is lean in. And what I mean by lean in is listen to them pray. Listen to their words. And again, it might be awkward, it might be weird, it might be strange, it might be new for you. But I want to invite you to prioritize some time each day this week to pray with the one you love and to listen to their prayers and let their words sink into your heart. So stay close, remain, and lean in. And one more thing. Whenever you hear about the love of Jesus, don't allow yourself to go to the place where you say, oh, we're just talking about getting along. We're just talking about being nice. Because if you go to that place, here's the reality. You don't have any idea about the love of God through Jesus Christ, the Messiah, the Lord, the Savior. Because it's not just about getting along. It's so much better than that. And next week, we're going to discover what it does in you, and then eventually how it influences the relationships around you. So remain, draw close, be near. That could change everything. Let me pray for you. And so God, we are so grateful that we don't have to do relationships on our own because they are so complicated. But you sent Jesus to uncomplicate our lives, to uncomplicate our brokenness, to uncomplicate what's going on in us and around us. You sent Jesus to change us, to transform us, to rescue us, to save us. And we thank you for that. And so I pray that we would start this conversation, starting today, by choosing to remain, to draw close, by spending time in Colossians 3, by spending time praying with each other, by spending time listening to the prayers of the ones that we love. And may we have relationships that are healthy and holy and godly, because we began to turn our attention, our hearts, our minds to you because of Jesus. And it's in his name that we pray each and every word here. And we say together, amen, and amen, and amen. God bless you guys.
Wow, what an incredible message. We are so thankful for Pastor Mike and the words that he shared with us. So many great things to take away for this week and so many great challenges to apply into our lives and things to think about. I'm so excited for next week.
Yeah, this whole series is going to be so fantastic. Active, before we close out today, I do want to invite you into something. Weekly, we ask for you to give with us as a church community because we really believe that God is up to something here through Active Church. But what I know to be true is that there are so many people in so many places outside of this building alone, outside of the Ukaipa alone, who are being reached and met with the love of Jesus because of you. And so today, I do want to just say thank you for your active generosity, but I want to challenge you to give with us with one more $1. We do this thing called the Dollar Club, and what the Dollar Club is we ask our entire community just to give $1 above what they normally give. And maybe you've never given with us here at Active Church. I want to invite you to give just $1 today because we are going to be telling an incredible story with that $1. We've already been telling some over-the-top stories already, and I want to let you know that this past Sunday was Easter Sunday. We've seen over 1,800 people on our campus. We've seen
amazing.
over 1,000 different devices log on online between Facebook and YouTube. It was so incredible. And we've seen 33 people give their life to Jesus through baptism.
Awesome.
Through baptism. That's incredible. I couldn't believe some of the stories I heard and some of the things that I've seen. And this all happens because of you. See, your dollar goes a long way and it's even bigger than you thought. So give with us because people's lives are being changed. And we're also connecting with organizations that are changing the world, like the organization Niños de Baja, which is an orphanage in Mexico that is changing the landscape for how orphanages are done. My heart is really for you to experience what the fullness of compassion and hope will look like. And us giving away of ourselves is one way that we experience that to the fullest. So give with us today as we tell a better story. There's 2 ways for you to give. First way is online at activechurches.com. Click the give button. The second way is you can text the amount to the number that is on the screen right now. And thanks for your generosity, Active Church. Let's keep telling better stories together.
Active Church, this was an amazing Sunday. We're so happy that you decided to join us this Sunday. We cannot wait to next week. We'll see you next Sunday.